Hi everyone, my name is Kim Covell, and I'm the mother of 3 children, one of whom has autism, and he's now 12 years old. And I'm going to read to you from a blog post that I put up on a website that I started with a colleague called aweinautism.org. And I selected it because it actually has to do with a visit to the doctor's office. And I hope you'll forgive me for just reading it because I'm a little nervous. In the waning days of summer vacation before the start of school, I took my 2 youngest boys to the pediatrician for their annual checkup. Besides the usual weigh-in, height check, listening to the heart, and a peek in the ears, these days a child's physical consists of a litany of questions from the doctor. There's a little chat about how many vegetables the kids eat, not enough. Questions about whether there are guns in the house, absolutely not. And if we have a pool, yes, and if so, do we know CPR? No. The final question the doctor asked both my boys, Jack, who is 10, and he's typically developing, and going on 18, I might add, and Dylan, who I mentioned is 12 and has autism, was, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's such a simple question. Jack answered as I expected, alternating between being a professional football player and a professional baseball player. If he could do both and be the lead guitarist in a rock band on the weekends, he'd be all set. The doctor then turned to Dylan to ask the same question. Yes, a simple question, yet the weight of it hung in the air. It was easy for Jack to answer because he is able to visualize the possibilities. For Dylan, even the concept of the day after tomorrow is too abstract. So for him to consider not only a future far down the road, but what he might be doing at that time makes it a much more difficult question to answer. In Dylan's typical way of processing information, he often repeats a phrase as his brain scans for the answer. And I don't know if anybody here knows kids with autism, but that can be a typical way of trying to find the correct answer. Thinking of how to respond, he began, I want to be, and then he said something neither the doctor nor I expected. I want to be a Superman. No exclamation, just matter of fact. A Superman, a person possessing extraordinary human powers. In some ways, Dylan's response seemed ironic. My son, who just learned to tie his shoes 3 months ago, wants to be a Superman? After a week or so of enjoying such a delightful and surprising response, I began to wonder why he came up with that answer. With Dylan, there's usually an explanation if you dig deep enough. His limitations may be greater than some, and it would be nice to think that he truly does dream of being a superhero, but knowing my son as I do, I doubt if he even knows who Superman is, or that he has a concept of growing up. If only I knew what was going on inside his head, I could tell you. I don't even know if he dreams. And if he does, in his dreams, is he as we see him every day? Or is he a typically developing child doing what other 12-year-olds do? When the time was right, I sat with Dylan and I asked him if he remembered our visit to the doctor. He said yes, but he says yes to everything. Then I asked him if he remembered being asked what he wanted to be when he grows up. His reply, I want to be a costume. Aha! I understood immediately what he meant by his answer to the pediatrician. Unfamiliar with the question, but recognizing some of the words, Dylan inserted a different question, one he is familiar with. What do you want to be for Halloween? It's not a far leap from there, since his brother wore a Superman costume just a couple of years before. It was a simple question from the pediatrician and a seemingly simple answer from Dylan, but one that makes me realize, in the end, nothing is really as simple as it seems. Would it have been better if I hadn't figured out the meaning behind his answer? Maybe I could have held on to the thought just for a moment that he believed he really could be Superman when he grows up. But in the end, I don't really believe that closing my eyes to the reality is the answer, even though it may give me comfort for a brief moment, but this much I can tell you, I will never close my eyes to the possibilities. Thanks very much.